Starbucks. It's a company that we're all familiar with. Many of us, if not all of us, have had at least one item from Starbucks, whether it be coffee, whether it be one of their double shot espresso drinks. Maybe there is a iced coffee or a frappuccino, or maybe you've decided to pick up a pastry or some kind of coffee cake when you're there. In any case, we're all familiar with the Starbucks logo and the Starbucks iconic mermaid. So what we're looking at here, I've assembled a couple images just to show you some of the things that we've come across. So if you look up in the left corner here, this is a sign we're all familiar with, the circle Starbucks icon here. I'm calling it the icon, but it's really the logo. This is the mermaid, very symmetrical, always shown, in this case, with a white background and the green. Or you could look at it as the mermaid in white and the background is green. So that's what's great about this logo. It is a one color, considered a one color logo, but there are cases where it has to be printed on surfaces in two colors. And that's really for visibility. So we see it here in the sign. Coffee cup we're most familiar with here in the center. That's where the logo is printed in their one color green. And then we have over here kind of a tumbler, sports tumbler. And we have the logo in black. This may just be a mock-up that someone did. I've never seen this specific item. But in either case, we can see how it's treated in black. Down in the lower left corner, we see the honey and Madagascar vanilla limited coffee flavor that they have here. And you can see there that the logo is treated in what is deemed two colors. So this is a two-color logo because white has to be used in conjunction with the green to really stand out here. In the center, we see some packaging here. We see where the green's been used in conjunction with their signature text here. The Starbucks signature text in conjunction with their logo. So logo in green and then text in black. And then here's another one again. This is likely a frappuccino or something like that. Maybe it's just a, I don't know, one of their cold drinks. I don't really drink the cold drinks. When I do drink Starbucks, it's just a nice hot plain coffee. So we can see that in white. This is printed over clear plastic, much like a decal. Many times you will have to print the background in white or the decal in white and then put a color over top of that. So we can see that. Now try to imagine the white not being there. It would start to look a little bit problematic. It might be something that we'd be wrestling with our eyes. We can see over here on the right hand side of the screen another positive use of the full color logo. Full color meaning green and then they're white. So this white area that you see and the green, they complete this circle. The circle is an integral part of this particular design. We can see here on the next screen where we've run into maybe a few issues. While that coffee cup looks great, the coffee mug on the left, it looks great. It's starting to lose the top portion of the circular form that contains the mermaid. And I'll show you that in a second. And then right over here in the center of the screen, we can see where the logo has been reversed out. So it's embossed into the lid of this aluminum tin top. So this is a tin top. Likely holds maybe some coffee beans or something like that. But this tin top is embossed and we can see already that the logo looks a little bit off. It kind of makes us feel a little odd when looking at it. Something about it in its not so positive state, but the reversed state. And then you can see on the right here, we do get a hint of the circle. It's almost frosted on there. So we have the logo in white, and then we have this kind of frosted circle. If you're not familiar with that, what that means, frosted, it just is semi-transparent. So we see that there. Okay, let me zoom back out. Let's get back in there. There we go. So I just want to show you these screens. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I want to show you logos like the Starbucks logo. It's a perfect example to show you exactly what happens when you design a logo in positive form and then you try to use it in what's called reversed form. So let's look at this screen here. On the left-hand side, I'm showing you the black, often called a one-color version. This is the black-only version, and all great logos should first work in black, devoid of color. There shouldn't be any color in some of these, and the main reason is that the logo should work first and foremost. It should read clearly in its most basic state. Whether or not you print in one color or black with the logo, it should still read that way. There are going to be instances when the color for the logo will not be able to be used, the full color version. So you'll want to use the black version in those cases, sometimes for budget, sometimes for ease of production of materials, especially when you get into things like embroidery or thousands of t-shirts where you don't want to have to pay extra colors or for extra colors. So we have a black version here. Below that, this is the color version. So it's white and then there's Starbucks green here. And we can see that the shape is largely defined by the green. So when we reverse this logo and try to get it to read on just a green background, as you see here in the middle, when it becomes the reversed version, we lose that containing circle. And it's not terribly problematic, like we saw on that coffee mug. It works pretty well. But there are instances where it does look a little bit funky. It doesn't have the same balance. It doesn't feel balanced. It almost feels like it's going to fall over, even though it's a symmetrical design. So below that, if we were to just go one color positive, we can see this would work quite well, this green. But if this light green in the background, this that you see here, if this were to become darker than the logo and the contrast were to change, we'd have some problems. And we can kind of see what's going on with this image over here on the right. So I have these two people sitting in a coffee shop, and over top of this image, I've placed the logo. This is the way on the left that Starbucks will traditionally use their logo. They will pay for that extra color. They are a big company. But you have to remember that not every company can afford that. And sometimes, again, budget dictates what the needs are. So going back to creating the logo, you want to have a black version, a reversed version, which serves as a one-color white version that can be put over top of photos or can be put over top of really any color because it is white. And it should read as a positive form. So you can see what's going on here. If you were to just reverse the black or put this version here over top of a photo. So what you're seeing is this color version down here without the white in the middle here. So we've dropped out all the white and you can see already the problem. It doesn't look right to us. The main reason is because we are determining where the shadows should be. We're so used to seeing faces like this that it can be very problematic for our brain to put it all together. So it looks very foreign to us and out of place. So sometimes you'll see this with logos where they are somewhat dimensional, 3D looking logos. A lot of sports teams and mascots, you'll see that they're trying to imply light and shadow in the logo. And then when that's reversed out, you run into the same issue that I'm showing you here. So let's look over here on the right, and you can see if we were to try to reverse this color version and use it over top of the photo, and get that circular form, the goal being to maintain that circular form, which is so recognizable and so part of the Starbucks logo, you're going to run into some problems here. So you would have to use this reversed version here over top of the photo, and then we're back to that losing the whole top of the circle, which really contains the mermaid. All right, so now that that's out of the way, I know it's a lot of information there. I'm going to show you how to create an effective reversed version of the logo for Starbucks so that we can see something that looks a little bit more like this one on the right, but it's going to give us access to the whole thing. And it's actually pretty simple to do, and it's something that you can apply to the logos that you're working on when you run into the same kinds of issues. Maybe you have a mascot. Again, maybe you're using light or shadow. So I'm going to show you that next. So we took a look at some of the materials that Starbucks has placed their logo on, from coffee cups to signage to tumblers to plastic cups for some of their cold drinks. And now we're ready to see how we can make perhaps a little bit better version of the reversed version of the Starbucks logo. So we're looking at a few things here. Let me just kind of walk you through what I have. I went ahead and created the Starbucks logo from scratch. I went ahead and tested my vector drawing abilities over top and created the line work first. And from that, I went ahead and produced the positive version here. So it's a largely symmetrical design with a few little shifts here we can see around the nose. They're not entirely symmetrical. So we've taken a look at producing this particular black version. That's a one color. And then we looked at how it could be reversed. And what happens is when we reverse things and drop it over top of the dark green, they're other colors. So this would be considered maybe a one color job and a project that we could produce. So maybe this is one color green printed on a white sheet or a cup. This is an example of that. So we can see here the logo in reversed. I talked about how important it is that they maintain their circular shape. There's just something that balances it out and stabilizes the entire logo here by having the top portion of the circle defined. And we lose that in this particular reversed version. So if we drop the positive version, the one color green, over top of any other color, we can see here we have this green. I'm going to go ahead and make this a global color so I can show you what we're doing here. And I'm going to turn on preview. All right. So let's move that out of the way. If we were to darken up this color, we can see that eventually we run into some issues. We see that this one color green, the dark green of the Starbucks logo, when it passes a certain point and the contrast changes, we have a problem here. So we want to fix that so that we could create a good, effective, positive version of the logo like we have here in the center with the circle. I'm going to show you how to do that because I think this is going to come in handy when you go to create a version of your logo that maybe runs into the same issues. It's often a case of faces on animals or people. You'll also see things where you have lights and darks. So if you have a highlight on something and you reverse it, it becomes now the shadow. And that can throw people off. It can change things significantly. So you want to create a good, solid, one color white version, often called, again, the reverse version. All right, let me walk you through that. I'll show you how simple it really is to do. I am going to go ahead and I am going to take this one out. Let's remove that. I'm going to lock this, Command 2, In fact, I'll lock both of them, Command 2, and then we'll do a comparison when we're done here. So let me start with this logo. This logo is actually constructed of two pieces. And the reason is so that I can go in, let me ungroup that. I had these two items grouped. I have the black circle. So this is just a circle. You can see that if I move it out of the way. It's just a circle that resides behind the mermaid that's in white. So this mermaid is completely in white. And actually, let me show you this. If we move this over and we bring it to the front, we can see it like that. That's how we got the original reversed version. All right. So let's place that back. I'm going to go back a few steps. Command Z. And that's going to put things back. So I have that white version sitting on top. I could change it to orange. You get the point here. You can change it to any color. And it works pretty well. All right. Let me make that back to white. So really, I want to switch this black circle to their Starbucks green. And there we go. So this is going to work great if I select both of these items. I'm going to group them, Command G, and I'll pull them over here. And you can see exactly the way that Starbucks has been using their logo. So they will often print it on those cups that we looked at. And you'll see it clear plastic where they have the white and the green. Let me take that back. There. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a good, effective version of the logo. Command Shift G, that's going to ungroup things. And let's bring a copy of all of these items, that circle in the background and the mermaid. I'm going to select everything and then Option Shift, and I'm going to drag it over. So it's going to give me an exact duplicate. That's duplicating our mark. I'm going to bring that to the front. And let's lock down this back. Oh, it's already locked down. Great. Good. So let's zoom in on it and take a look at what we're going to be doing. We're going to use a few tools. I'm going to show you some ways that we can get this into its reversed state. So let me first show you what happens when we delete. We delete the background. Simple enough, we're left with that. That's not what we want to do. We want to do something a little bit different here. So let's take the circle in the background, and we will create a copy of that. Now, because it's a circle, it's a perfect opportunity to just duplicate and then scale the circle. It's a perfect circle all the way around. But let me show you a way that you can also do that. So here's the first way. Let's do this. If we were to just delete it, obviously we'd get rid of it. Let's not do that. So I'm going to make an exact copy of this circle. That's Command C, Command F, as in Frank. So we have Command C, Command F key, and that's going to create an exact copy. We don't see any changes. What we can do to see the changes is let's make it red. And then I'm going to scale it from the center. I'm going to scale this circle from the center. Option Shift. And I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to drag any of this the points on the outside. So you can see now we have a circle within a circle. How can we better see that? Let's just do this. Let's make it blue. And let's send it to back. So Command Shift and the left bracket key. And I'm going to do that also with this here. Command Shift or Control Shift the left bracket up near your delete key on the keyboard. That will send things to the back. And the right bracket brings it to the front, to the very front. So now we see we have this circle inside of the blue circle. So let's scale this down just a little bit. And we're going to make it white. All right. So already you can see we're containing things in this shape. You can make this outer ring that we see here, you can make it any size you want by just doing Option and Shift. All right. All right. So I'm going to delete that. That was one way to create a circle on the outside. Let's delete it. Let's start again with this green circle. So we have it. We see it's filled over here in the left-hand side. I'm going to go up to Object, and here's the other way. So this would be great if you have a more organic, less geometric shape that you need to create an outline for. So we're going to go up to Object, and we're going to go down to Path, Offset, Path. So Object, Path, Offset, Path. And here's where we can decide how much we want it to be. So let's just hit Preview, and we can see that it's created a path outside of the path. So a path really is just a line that encompasses a shape. It could also be a line, a stroke. What we did is we created another one, another circle on the outside. Let me show you really quickly, if I have just a random shape, how this works and how it might benefit you. So let's just say you had a containing shape for your logo. I'm just drawing this very loosely. Let's just say that your shape looked like that. That was your shape. Let's do what we did before. So if we did copy, Command F, and then scaled from the center, you see what's happening? It's not keeping the same distance all the way around. So you can see it's not an effective way to do things that are more organic. Let's go up and do Object, Path, Offset Path, hit Preview, and watch. So you can see now we have this shape on the outside. It's better seen if we just make it a color. So let's make it yellow. There we go. So this would be the outermost white shape, and this would be our inner shape. And you can see everything is equidistant from the edge of the first shape to the outer edge of the outer shape. So this is a very effective way. Offset path. Doesn't really matter for what we're doing. Let's just use offset path because we just showed it. So let's see, offset path. I'm going to make it, let's do, instead of 0.0, let's just do 0.09. So it's going to be slightly smaller. And what I'm aiming for when I'm looking at this, how am I making judgments? I'm looking at things like the distance in here, some of the thinner areas. Maybe that's a good distance to use. Maybe we use some of the thicker things that are more consistent throughout. So these outer parts of the tail, these rings that we see around the tail, these stripes, maybe we use that as kind of the width of that outer line. I'm just going to keep it the way it is, and we can move along here. All right. So here's a great way, very quick. Let's lock down that back layer, and I'm going to select everything now. I'm selecting everything I have. All right. So one way to do this, and very quickly to make a good reversed version, is to select everything. So I'm just going to drag around everything, all of my shapes. It's selected the outer circle, the white circle that's creating this ring. It's selected the green area, that's the background for the mermaid, and then it's selected the white portions that are defining the mermaid here. So everything is selected, and I'm going to go into my Shape Builder tool from my Tools panel. It's this tool here, Shift plus M on your keyboard. It's got a little circle with dots, another circle, and the direct selection white arrow here. So let's select that. And we have everything selected, and if I hover with whatever I'm using a mouse. If I hover over top, you see a little plus sign here. Do you see the plus sign? Okay. Let me zoom in just a bit. So we see a plus sign. If I hold down Option on the Mac or Alt on the PC, I will get a minus sign. So we want to delete all of the green, the dark green, because we're creating a new contained circle version for this. We want to keep the white areas. So let's select everything that's not going to be needed. All right, Option, and you just click. So you're hovered over the areas that you want to delete. Let's do that one first. Let's do the mouth. So we did this area in the crown, the mouth. Let's do, I think it's all, that's it. Oh, the nose. Let's go into the nose. And again, Option or Alt, click. And what we're doing is we're kind of punching through everything. We're like a cookie cutter. We're just stamping out these areas that we don't need. So there we go. All right. So one more step that we need to do here. Let's go back and deselect. So I'm out of the shape builder tool now. I'm back here with my selection tool, and I'm going to select all. And we now have this piece that you see in the background. So when you cookie cutter things out, it's going to create multiple versions of whatever's left over in the background. So this step that I'm going to show you is so important so that you don't have stray points and pads and colors all throughout your artwork. Command Z, a couple times. Let's get back to this. Okay, so we have this shape selected. Here's the simple thing that we're going to do. If we zoom in Illustrator, you can see that there, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but you can see that there's this tiny little green line, and that's showing you that something in there is not connected. So these white areas are not part of one another, and we want to combine them. And the best way to do that into one shape and to get rid of all those stray shapes in the background is to select all. So we're going to drag around all of this part of our artwork, everything, all the shapes below, and you can actually see here that there are separate pieces. You can see right in here in the preview. So let's zoom in. You see how there's a line in between the stripes of the tail and the outer ring? We want to combine those. We don't want separate pieces of art. We want everything to flow nicely as one piece of white artwork. All right, so here's how you do it. Window, Pathfinder. So the Pathfinder tool is a lot like the Shape Builder tool. It allows you to punch things out by using things like minus front or minus back. You can intersect things. It'll leave the piece in the middle between two shapes. But right now we're going to do something very simple, and all it is the first one in shape modes. So Pathfinder panel, shape modes at the top part, and we're going to click Unite. Now as I do this, watch what happens in the artwork right in here. Watch what happens where there's these lines that are meeting up. Ready? It's now become one thing. So let's do that again. Command Z, we can see they were separate pieces, and now we are going to unite. And because we selected everything on the screen here, we dragged around it, it saw all shapes underneath. So if we now click and we move the object, everything was combined into this white shape. Okay, so this would be a good, effective, circular version that, in my opinion, works much better than what Starbucks has done, if they've been doing that at all. And now this object can be dropped effectively over top of items. So let me show you really quickly. I'm going to open up, if I still have it available, I'm going to open up the examples that I was working on. Let's see. Let's see if I still have them. It might be an older file that I'm using. It has a lot of photos in it. Let's see here. Okay. Remember this in our last video. This was what they have as far as a reversed logo. Or this is, if they took their positive version and just made it white, this is what would happen. Now, Starbucks is a big company. They have a very good advertising and design team, so they wouldn't be doing this. But they would be doing things like we see here, where the frosted outer circle to really define that. What I've created is what I think would work very well and cut down on a lot of costs that don't really need to be spent. So let's move this out of the way just for a second, and I'm going to go get the one that we just created. So here's that. Copy. And let me paste it into this file. It'll probably come in a little bit larger. Yep. And let's scale it down. And let's bring it back up a little bit. We'll just kind of bring it up to almost the same size. And you can see, doesn't that look a whole lot better? Right here, we can zoom in a little bit. So you can drop this over a lot of dark areas, and it'll hold up very well, especially on dark surfaces. Let's actually take this just for a second, copy, and I'm just going to drop it over top of this. I know it's not perfect, but you can see if this were just the white ink over top of this cup without the frosted, it would come across very well. So we can see that. Pretty nice. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to show you. We can drop it over here too. I'm just going to do that for fun. Why not? Let's put that over here. And I'm going to scale it up just so that I can feel even more happy about this one. Yep. So what am I showing you this for? I'm showing you this because I want you to see that a lot of even bigger companies may have not thought about this. Whether or not Starbucks has done this and they've improved it, or they have a version that I'm unaware of, that's not, I'm not really sure about that. But the reason I'm showing you is because this is something that's going to be very critical when you are producing logos for yourself, for friends or clients, and you want to have some flexibility. You have to think about all the instances where the logo will be used and the cost effectiveness of doing so. And where you'll be using that is usually in printed materials or digital materials, but sometimes you will need to cut the budget down, and this is a great way to do it, especially for t-shirts and things like that. So that's really it. I just wanted to show you how you can go about creating a version that is a reversed version that really holds on to that containing iconic circle, that circle that defines the edge and contains this mermaid. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to do some more videos like this where I can show you how things can be treated or modified to work very well. I just wanted you to see how reversed logos can work, especially, again, remember, faces and areas where there are lights and darks. Contrast is needed. So that's it. Thanks so much for watching.